Hey, hi, this is Mr. Collins.
And Mrs. Ryan.
Mrs. Norton's here.
And we're going to take you through the card sorting activity in preparation for your quiz tomorrow. Hey, so Mrs. Ryan, take it away.
Okay, so when I first got my cards, I wanted to sort them where I had similar characteristics grouped together, so that when I had to compare them to other tables or equations, I could look for those characteristics. So for example, when I first looked at this graph, I decided that this was moving in a positive direction. So if I were to read from left to right, that would make it a positive direction. So this is moving from left to right, making it positive. Also, I could look at the coordinates. And if I looked at the coordinates, I would notice that my y value was increasing, as was my x value, making it positive.
Yeah, and I'd also throw in, left to right, it also looks like you're going uphill, which may be a simple way to see it too.
Okay, so this one I also decided was positive. If you compare them, we see, as Mr. Collins says, going uphill, or like Ms. Norton said earlier, not now, but earlier, moving from left to right like I read a book. Okay, there were two more cards that I would group in my positive category. So same characteristic of uphill or reading left to right. Okay, in addition to that, I would call this one negative. In this case, like Mr. Collins would point out, this is moving downhill. This is a downward slope, so I would say that's negative. And it's from left to right going downward. And lastly, I'm going to put this in the I don't really know what's happening here category, because if I tried to read that or determine moving uphill or moving downhill, I can't really decide. So this one's just going to kind of be in a category of its own.
Okay, so it seems like we have 4 going up, 1 going down, and 1 just kind of completely wacky.
That's correct.
So if I'm looking at the tables, I'm going to try to sort them the same exact way. So I'm going to kind of notice here my x's that I'm starting at -5 and going to +5. In fact, all my table is going to be doing that, so I can focus my attention on the y's. So if y's start at -10, then they end up at 10, that's increasing. So that's going to be one of the increasing matches. Here we have one where it starts negative. Oh, something's kind of going crazy here, and 1 actually doesn't even match anything. So I'm going to put that one in. I don't even know what's going on right now category. Here's card L. Card L goes from -9 then up to 1, so that's definitely increasing. Here's card H, -2 to 8, that's an increase. -2.5 up to 2.5, that's an increase. And then I have card G, starts at 8 and then goes to -2. That's a decrease. So I'm already thinking I have some matches from Mrs. Ryan's graphs, because I end up with 1 crazy table, 1 going down table. So those might be a match we'll kind of look at later.
All right, so I'm going to look at mine the same way too. I think Miss Ryan has a neat idea. So let's look at this rule, otherwise known as an equation, but we've been calling them rules for the most part. So I can get y if I take 3 and I take away some number. So I'm thinking that's going to be getting smaller somehow. That might be getting smaller. It might be getting bigger too, though, because that can be confusing. But I'm thinking smaller right now. Y equals x minus 4, or in other words, take some number and take away 4. I'm thinking the bigger my x's are going to get, that my numbers are actually going to get bigger. 2 minus 4 is -2, but 3 minus 4 is only -1. 4 minus 4 is, yeah, I'm thinking this is going to get bigger. This one, some number divided by 2. So that's definitely going to be getting smaller, because I remember some problems we did like that, where it was like getting half. I think this is definitely a smaller one. 10 divided by some number. Ooh, this is a little weird. I don't remember doing anything like this in class yet. So I'm wondering now if my weird one that I'm really not sure what's happening might be like Miss Ryan's weird one. Check that out later. So here I have some number plus 3. Definitely going to get bigger, because no matter what x is, if I'm adding to it, it should be getting bigger. And my last one, y equals 2x. So that means my output is 2 times bigger than what x is, 2 times some number. Definitely getting bigger.
Okay, so now we kind of did like a preliminary sort of our cards. We have like three groups. We have a group of increasing, we have a group of decreasing, and then we have like a group of I don't know what's going on, things are just wacky. So, sometimes when you're working with people, the best thing to do is just pick one and see if the other people can match it. So, Mrs. Ryan, pick a card. What do you got?
Card C.
Okay, a card C, so that's a tough one. That's definitely increasing. So I only have like 4 choices or something from my tables. What I'm probably going to do is try to pick out specific points. Like there's lots of points here, but it's kind of faded, but I do see one really important point, and that's right here in the middle. I see 0, 0. So when I'm looking at my tables that I know are increasing, I'm going to try to match that up. And here are the 4, and I know you can't see them all, but that's okay. So here's this table right here. That has a 0, 0, and I don't know if you guys can see it. There it is, 0, 0, so that's a possible one. This one has a 0, negative 4. Well, my graph passes 0, 0, so it can't be this one. I'll put that one back. Here's one that passes through 0, 3. So I'm going to put that one back. And here's one that also passes through 0, 0. So really I only have 2 choices. I have I or J that's going to match card C. Now I got to maybe pick another point, so I got to be careful. I got to actually look. Here's X1, and if I go up, there's Y2. So I know I have to match this with a table that has 1 for X and then Y for 2. So here it goes. Here's 1 for X, Y for 2. Here's 1 for X, Y for 0.5. Well, that's an easy match. That has to match card I.
All right, so I'm glad Mr. Collins went next because that makes picking my rule pretty easy. First of all, I'm picking one of the 3 rules that I identified as being showing getting bigger. So I'm just going to go over here to my table and see if my rule works for the entries in my table. And I'm going to start with 1. So if I put 1 in for my X, 2 times 1 is 2. Check. If I put 2 in for X, 2 times 2 is 4. Check. If I put 3 in for X, 2 times 3 is 6. Check. 2 times 4 is definitely 8, and 2 times 5 is definitely 10. Well, maybe I better check my negatives. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 2 times negative 2 is definitely negative 4. I think I'm pretty confident that I have a good match here.
All right, so we have card M for yellow matching with card I for blue and card C for the graph. All right, I think we agree. Let's move on. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do another positive graph.
That's awesome because I know I only have 3 choices left. So here are my 3 choices. Again, I got to pick a point, and I'm going to look right to the middle. It passed to the middle again. That's an easy choice because before I had 2 cards that didn't. Those are gone right away. So that means it's got to be this one. So we probably want to match at least one more point. Here's X equals 2, Y equals 1. X equals 2, Y equals 1. So this one matches as well. So I'm confident card J is a match here.
So I'm looking at my cards, and I'm looking at my 2 that I think are definitely positive, and I'm having a hard time finding either one of those matching using my table again. So if I put in for Y equals X minus 4, if I put in 1 for X, 1 minus 4 is not a half or 0.5. Definitely not it. Here's my other one that I thought was definitely showing an increase. If I put in 1 for X, 1 plus 3 is 4. Oops, I'm not getting that. That can't be right. So I must have a mistake in my thinking somewhere else. So let's try this. This one I was a little unsure of. This Y equals 3 minus X. Let's try that. 3 minus 1 is 2. That isn't working. So I can rule that one out. Well, maybe I should look at this one. So 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. Okay, maybe I'm on the right track. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Looks like it's checking out. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So it looks like this one is definitely the match. And that I was a little wrong in my thinking that this division was going to make my number going smaller down this way. It's actually making it smaller, but only if I look across. So,
All right. So we have card O for the yellow to match with card J for the blue and card F for the graph. This is Ryan. Now what do you got?
Oh, let's stick with our positives.
Oh, I like it. You're narrowing down the choices. I only have 2 tables left that I identified as positive before. Again, I got to look for a point. I don't have the 0, 0 anymore. But I do have a couple of nice places where it does cross. I'm going to look right here. So when x equals 0, y equals negative 4. So let's check this out. X equals 0, y equals 3. That's not going to be it. When x equals 0, y is negative 4. I think that's it. I'm going to check this one too, though. When x equals 4, y equals 0. When x equals 4, y equals 0, that's got to be a match. So I'm going to match card L with this one.
all right. I think I've got this one too. It's getting bigger. This was another one that I thought showed a rule of getting larger as you look down the y. And if I put in 1 for x, 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Check. If I put in 2 for x, 2 minus 4 would be negative 2. Check. If I put in 3 for x, 3 minus 4 is definitely negative 1. 4 minus 4, 0. I think, let's check a negative 1 just to make sure. Negative 1 minus 4, definitely negative 5. Negative 2 minus 4, negative 6. I'm pretty confident that that's a match.
Okay, so we have card N for the yellow, matching with card L for the blue, with card D for the white. Next.
Okay, I'm kind of sick of these positive graphs. Let's take a look at a negative graph.
All right. Now, I know with the table, I only had one that I thought was negative, but just thinking that doesn't make it right. I mean, we definitely have to check it. So I'm looking for table values again that I can match. So let's look right here on the graph. I have x equals 0, y equals 3. The y-intercept here is going to be 3. Well, look at that. Y equals 0, or I'm sorry, x equals 0, y equals 3. This guy right here, the x is now 3, the y is 0, the x-intercept. So when the x is 3, the y is 0. Those points match. That's got to be a good graph.
All right. I also had one that I was pretty confident was going to be showing a decrease as you looked down vertically on the table. And this table is definitely, if I look vertically going down, the y's are getting smaller as the x's are getting bigger. So now I'm just going to again substitute in some values for x and see if the y values match up. See if the rule works in every case, in other words. So 3 minus 1, definitely 2. 3 minus 2 would be 1. Check. 3 minus 3 would be 0. Check. 3 minus 4 would be negative 1. Check. Let's check some negative values. 3 subtract a negative 2. Okay, so that would be the same as 3 plus 2, which is 5. Check. 3 subtract a negative 3. Okay, that's the same as 3 plus 3, which is 6. Check. I'm pretty confident I was right. That was going to show a decrease.
All right, so we have yellow card Q with blue card G and white card B. Oh, we are almost done.
All right, Mr. Collins. I'm confused about this one, so let's see if we can find a match.
I am also confused. So you were matching card E. I had a weird table too. I'm going to pull out card K for this one. I don't know what kind of rule that's going to produce, and I don't really understand the pattern in my table either. Like, that's a pretty wacky pattern. I see some things here, like, 5 negative, I don't know, but some of the numbers get really weird really fast. But what I'm interested in is kind of looking at some of the values just like I did before. So I'm going to try to maybe find one that's easy to find. So I'm going to go over here to x being 4, and I'm going to trace it to where it hits the graph, and then trace it over to here. So if x is 4, y is going to be about 2 something. Let me check that. So x is 4, y is 2.5. That's going to match. X is 5. Trace it up to where it hits and then crawl it over. So when x is 5, Y is going to be 2, it looks like, and that's going to match as well. That gives me confidence that card K is probably going to match. I'm not really sure why that value is deleted, and I'm seeing some patterns here, like I see 1 times 10 is 10, 2 times 5 is 10, 5 times 2 is 10, but I'll be honest, I don't really understand right now what rule that is or why this matches, other than matching points. But I have confidence card K matches card E.
All right, so I'm going to pull out my odd one and see if the one that I thought was odd kind of matches up to this. So again, I'm going to pick some easy values in my table to check. If I put in 1 for x, 10 divided by 1 is 10. Well, that works. What about if I put in 2 for x? 10 divided by 2 is 5. Check. I don't want to do this because I can't do that one in my head. So I'm going to skip 10 divided by 3 and go to 10 divided by 5. I'm going to go down here. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Check. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Let's try some negative easy ones to check. 10 divided by negative 1. Well, positive divided by negative is going to give me a negative. So it'd have to be negative 10. There we go. 10 divided by negative 5. Positive divided by negative again is going to be negative, so that's negative 2. Check. Yep, it was
Okay.
my weird one.
So we have yellow card R with blue card K, white card E. Well, we only have one left, so let's just pull them out together and let's just quickly confirm this is going to match. We know it's increasing. My table's increasing. That rule seems to be increasing. It seems to me every time we had an increasing rule, Ms. Norton, it seemed to be a positive x value, like we're adding x. I wonder if that's part of this whole mystery. I don't know.
Interesting.
I have this point here that's a 0, 3, and then on my table I have 0, 3. But look at that, we have a plus 3. That seemed to be a pattern as well. Interesting. So I don't know about you guys, but I think this is a good match.
I agree.
I feel good.
So I have card P with card A and card H.
I think we're going to rock the quiz tomorrow.
I think the three of us are going to be awesome on the quiz tomorrow. And maybe you guys can too with a little bit of study time. So hopefully this video helped, guys. If it did, tell us tomorrow. Thanks.
Good luck.